Hello fight fans and welcome back to What Culture Combat. I am Gareth Morgan and today what are we going to do? We're going to up some downs about a little event that went down last night, this morning. Not too sure where the time frame is right now. I'm very tired, but it is all about UFC 247, Jon Jones versus Dominick Reyes, Valentina Shevchenko taking on Kaitlyn and some other stuff, but we're going to get into that. Derrick Lewis taking on Aliya Latifi. It was a big heavyweight clash, kind of opened up the main cards. What you want really, big powerful hitters going at it. But what we got really wasn't what was expected, in my opinion, personally. We kind of used to Derrick Lewis being this big, bruising, kind of powerful guy, lovable, laughable guy who can just, power through people. But he started picking his shots really well at the start of this fight. I really enjoyed watching him. But yeah, Derrick Lewis used these like kicks and knees really well. But then as we got into the second round, Latifi really started to show off his kind of Greco wrestling aptitude. He's awesome. He started pushing his man up against the wall, the fence. If it was bricked off, that'd be awful to watch. If you're in the arena, you couldn't see anything. But yeah, he started to use his kind of strength and everything else, and use his technique to grapple his man. And he was struggling with a single leg. He was trying to get him down to the ground, and he couldn't quite pull it off because Derrick Lewis is a big dude. But then as the fight kind of went on, he started to utilize the double underhook and managed to actually get him to the ground. But sadly, he didn't really do much from there. He took him down, which is a feat in itself. Derrick Lewis is a huge dude, but he didn't really do much from that position. They got stood up and everything else, and they had to carry on. And it just, I feel like Latifi got the second round because he took him down a couple of times, but I would have liked to have seen a bit more from that position. It probably took a lot out of him, to be fair. When you're getting a guy like that down on the ground, you bet you're knackered. But then we got into the third round, and again, it was much of the same. Latifi, every time Lewis came in for a few strikes, Latifi would tie him up in that underhook and get him to the ground again. But then Derrick Lewis just hulked up, really, just full on let rip in the last couple of seconds in the third round. And I think that kind of swayed the judges. I think they were a bit blinded by that kind of late flourish, and he got the unanimous decision. That's getting it down. Now, before you kind of pull your daggers out, it's not because I don't like Derrick Lewis or anything like that. I just don't think in this fight he controlled the fight. Do you know what I mean? I don't think across the entire fight, I don't think he had enough. He did enough to kind of put his stamp down on the fight and prove that he should have won it. He threw a few decent shots. He threw a few head kicks in there and flying knees. He incorporated some great kind of new assets into his game. But I feel like as a whole, Latifi did more to kind of dominate and dictate the actual pace and rhythm of the fight. And yet again, that's a bit of a contentious decision from the judges, but not for the last time tonight. Okay, now we're going to go into a featherweight clash, the next clash on this main card. I'm going to try and rifle through this because I really want to get towards the kind of top end of the card. But we had Mirsad Bektic taking on Dan Ige. That fight it went the complete opposite of the way I thought it would, really. I thought Ige would dominate on the ground. He's a better grappler in my eyes, in many people's eyes, and I thought Bektic would be more explosive as a striker. Completely flipped. Ige came out guns blazing, completely kind of put his man on the back foot early on, and then Bektic started to control the ground in the second round, took Ige down really well. Ige defended quite well on the ground, though, it has to be said. But then in the third round, again, it was a bit of a mix-up of those first two rounds. Ige was striking quite well, counter-striking, and Bektic, again, was pushing his man everywhere and kind of controlling things. Even I was kind of pulling my hair out going, this could go anywhere, I'm not really sure who. I had Ige coming into the fight, and Ige won via split decision. So that one, it's getting an up because I got my prediction right really more than anything, so up. Next fight on this card was Justin Tafa taking on Juan Adams. Juan Adams was probably the overwhelming favourite coming into the fight. Everyone thought he was too big for him, he had the reach, everything else, and they just thought he was the guy with the most potential really in the fight. And I thought that too, which is why I predicted he'd win, and that's why I'm an idiot. Justin Tafa, he was kind of kept back by Adams' reach. He was going for a kind of Jon Jones-esque kind of pushing back thing where he has his fingers extended. Joe Rogan kept reminding us that he shouldn't be doing that. That's kind of inviting on eye pokes. We don't like those. But yeah, he tried to do that, tried to keep him at arm's length, but then Tafa started to leg kick him, chop him down a little bit, kind of bring that distance a bit closer. And then when Adams went for a takedown, he got caught a couple of times. And then after that, he got caught again with a right hook and a right uppercut, and that was it. It was TKO. TKO town for Juan Adams. I would like to give you the first ever UFC ups and downs. I'm going to give you the undisputed up of the night. Boom, because I really enjoyed that knockout. I like an early knockout, and everyone underestimated it, even myself, so that is me making up for it. Next fight on this card was, of course, the women's flyweight title match. It was Valentina Shevchenko, the absolute assassin of UFC right now, taking on Kaitlyn. Really, I think the fight played out exactly how we thought it would. Chookagian tried her best to stay in it and tried her best to kind of throw a decent volume of shots and everything else, but Shevchenko's an assassin. I've said it twice already, but she can dissect you and do whatever she wants to you, really, and that's what she did. Then we got into the third round. It'd been teased towards the end of the second round that Shevchenko had the ability to take Shevchenko down and dominate on the ground. Shevchenko couldn't really tie in a triangle. She looked completely outclassed on the ground, and that continued at the start of the third round when Shevchenko tried to bring Shevchenko to the ground by pretty much koala bear hugging her. And Shevchenko, because she's a tank, she literally just stood there. I thought, nope, and took her straight down to the ground. And then she put her in a crucifix and just pummeled the living daylights out of her. And yeah, she won by TKO. That's getting up. And our last fight, the big one, the top fight on this card, the main attraction, Jon Jones, Johnny Bones Jones, taking on Dominick Reyes. And wowee, there's a lot to unpack here. Dominick Reyes came out and just absolutely piled on the pressure, throwing incredible lefts, which was always going to be his secret, well, not secret weapon, not so secret weapon. Those incredible left straights, he was throwing them easily, landing them, probably not landing them as significantly as he would have liked, but then he was landing kicks as well, low leg kicks, high kicks. He was piling on the pressure, which is exactly what I said he needed to do. I said he needed to do. He's not living in a shed. That's a weird thing to say. But I say he needs to do that coming into the fight because if you let Jones have that early pressure and set the pace, you're in for a long night. But he didn't. He just kept it up early on. And what was really impressive in the second round as well is the fact that he kept his footwork excellently all the way through these first two rounds. But then we got into the third round, and that's where Jon Jones really did what we know he always tends to do. He started downloading that information, he started storing a few things and realizing, right, in order to get something out of this fight, I need to start controlling the center of the octagon, which is what he did. And he started boxing really smart, which is not something Jon Jones is necessarily strictly known as. Okay, he's known as a decent boxer, but it's hilarious. It's something that Dominick Reyes called out in the press conferences up to the fight, saying, oh, you're not a boxer, Jon. Jon had been doing his homework, like we always say. He's going to beat you or he wants to beat you. So he started boxing from the center. And then towards the end of this third round, we got our first takedown attempt from Jon Jones, and he was unsuccessful. Reyes just stood there like a tree. It was. My jaw was hitting the ground at this point. I was like, Jon Jones hasn't taken him down. What? I thought that's meant to happen, right? And then we got into the fourth round, and Jon Jones still couldn't take down Reyes. But admittedly, this is where he started to crank up the pressure. This is where Reyes, he didn't really land much offense now from here on out. He just kind of defended his position, which, in my opinion, he'd won those first three rounds, so he had every right to kind of defend what he had. And then we got to the end of the fifth round, and it did seem as though, yeah, Jones probably had won those fourth and fifth rounds, but we got to the decision, and it was a unanimous decision victory for Jon Jones. Down! I mean, Reyes quite obviously won those first three rounds. I can't understand this. I mean, and this was the icing on the terrible judging cake for this event for me. It just, who in their right mind can put Jon Jones as winning that fight? He was on the back foot for the most part in the first three rounds. He didn't land anything really significant. Yeah, he was landing the odd shot. I think he busted Reyes' nose, but I'm pretty sure Reyes busted Jon's nose. So it's perplexing. So what I'm going to do, because I do not want to end this entire video on a sour note, I'm going to give obviously the overall fight a down, but I'm going to give Dominick Reyes an up, because despite losing this his biggest kind of fight to date, I thought he came out of this in a better position than Jones. I think Jones just feels like he's protected company man at this point, whereas now Reyes feels like you get a couple more big fights under your belt, kid, and you're going to go far. I think you could be a future champion. You've swayed me around. I kind of wasn't a big fan of your attitude coming in. Didn't really think you stood much of a chance against somebody like Jones, but hey, you've completely proven me wrong. I'll swallow that humble pie if that is what needs to happen. But yeah, I think you're incredible. I think you were very close to getting me undisputed up of the night, but that went to Justin Taffer instead. Maybe next time, kid, but you get a nice little kind of consolation up from me. So thank you very much for tuning in to What Culture Combat to watch these ups and downs of UFC 247. Let me know what you thought. What got your ups? What got your downs for this event? Do you feel like the judges' decisions were spot on, or do you, like me, feel like I've been a bit cheated? Let me know all about these comments and opinions in the comment section below, and do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. I have been Gareth from What Culture Combat. Thank you very much for watching, and I'm sure I'll see you soon.